Last time you saw us working on Thomas's 64, I cut the floor out so that we could slide this new floor pan in. And if you've ever worked on anything that's rusty, you know how it goes. You start cutting into things and then you find out what you're trying to replace. You can't even weld anything to. So we've done a lot of patching. I made some new gussets for the leaf spring front mount on this. I'll show you those in just a second. I got to finish weld those in and then gusset them, and then I can slide this new floor pan in. These gussets were completely rotted out here. I'll insert some pictures. So basically I cut them off, used some 1/8 inch steel, which is heavier than what they even used from the factory. There was big rust holes down here. Patched those up so this had something solid to mount to. We did the same thing on the other side. So I was able to cut out 2 of each. The front plate is different than the back plate. But they're in there, they're tacked in. We're gonna solid weld them, gusset them, and then we can slide this floor pan in. Finishing that stuff up in there, I did not weld it to the rear subframe piece because that is going to be replaced. So I just will weld that when I'm underneath the car replacing those rear subframes. Now we're going to move on to getting this floor pan fitted in. Everything is pretty much prepped besides the firewall area. We're going to have a lot of work to do up here, but we need to get this in place to figure out what we can and cannot cut off of this. So we're going to start with that. Before we slide it in, I'm going to take the pneumatic hole puncher and punch all these lips so that there's holes in there for nice spot welds, because we've got everything ground down to bare steel on the body where the pan is going to mount to. So let's get started with that. got the X bracing out. We've got all the spot welds done that we hole punched in the side of that floor pan. Before we slid it in, those are all spot welded. As you can see, the firewall is going to need a lot of attention here. Also up on the toe board here of the floor pan, there's no metal on the sides, so we're going to have to reconstruct something in there to get that safely attached, because it's not just a floor pan. This acts as the whole chassis, because this is a unibody car and that's the way Thomas is going to be running it. So we have to take that all into consideration, that all the suspension and everything is attaching right to this firewall and that subframe that goes on the front part, which is the next part we're going to attack. We'll put those pieces up to it, see what we've really got to replace on that firewall to strengthen it all. That way it's safest it can be. But as far as I can tell, floor pan is in and good to go. We're moving on to the next thing. Being that we've got the whole new floor pan in this and the firewall patches done and the front frame sections welded on, we're going to move on to the back now. We've got these rear frame rails that we've got to do. Those go from the front of the rear leaf spring mount back to about here. So I'll show you inside the trunk here. We're dealing with a little bit of rust back here as well. But for the most part, the front part of the floor pan is solid still. It's just the rear. So we're going to have to make some patches for back here for the rear part of the frame rails to connect to. But yeah, we're going to start turning into that right now. We've got the rear frame rails tacked into place. As you can see, there are some patches that we're going to have to do in the trunk pan here in the back corners. We just have the front section of the rear frame rails tacked in. We're going to call that a week on this, so that'll sum up today's video. Thanks for watching. This has been a lot of work. Yesterday off camera I spent probably about 5 hours underneath this thing just grinding all the spot welds, trying to get the old subframe out after I plasma cut it off. You still have to get all those tabs of the edge of the frame rail off of there where the spot welds are. So it was heck of a job to do that. I was black head to toe. Went in, took a shower, and came out today, got these tacked in. We're gonna go ahead and finish this up probably off camera. I'll show you what this looks like when it's complete and sitting on all four again. We've got a Catalina outside that my buddy Rob Davis dropped off. We're gonna be building a gasser out of that. So that's upcoming on the channel. And we also are really hoping to make it to the October 11th race with Loud and Ugly. We're gonna make a little comeback video out of that. So it should be pretty awesome. So stay tuned. Don't forget, head over to the website. Order as much as merchandise as you can because it helps out with the channel and being able to buy parts and camera equipment and all sorts of stuff. So appreciate everybody's support and we'll catch you next time.